Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below this video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views about the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior. How you doing?
Yo, yo.
Hello.
What kind of time do you call this?
It's Spanish on a Monday, so I was just going to have one show and start at 2, but I explained that I was going to start at 2 and do one show, and you said start as soon as possible, so we'll get a show and a half, or one show that's a bit longer, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. So we're basically we're gonna sacrifice the reliability and the predictability, and we're going to become a little bit like Patricia.
Me? No, not at all.
Yeah.
This show will be running at 2 PM as advertised.
All right, okay.
So,
I suppose technically it would be running at 2 PM. It just doesn't start at the predictable time. So I can imagine that we would only be on, say, 25 people. Oh, no, we're on 48. Should be on, like, nearly 100. 49.
Who knows? Please share the show. Stick it out there on Facebook. I shall do the same.
Shout out to Sarah Christina. Thank you very much for your donation. I spied it in the inbox this morning.
Ah, your GoFundMe. So tell the audience precisely what your GoFundMe is about.
Well, whilst we've got nobody else on the panel, this is the opportune moment. Okay, so a couple of years back, no, not a couple of years back, several years back. It's a few. I really felt old when I started looking into this, but when I did my degree, I was told that if you don't do a postgrad of some kind, any kind, your degree would go stale after 5 years. So in the 5th year, I then went into the postgrad to stop it from going stale, which now allows me to do what I'm doing today. Basically, what happened was I realized that I wanted to kind of do a flat earth related thing. Didn't quite know how to get an overlap, but I felt that, hang on a sec. Shut up. Felt that I wanted to do something flat earth related in some way and try and overlap it with something that I know what I'm doing with, because we've all got our own interests, hobbies, experiences in life. So I felt that I would have to try and find an overlap, and I was waiting to find an opportune moment to do the overlap. And it came kind of in summer, but numerous things happened in summer, and I got sidetracked with it, and different things happened, and then I needed a lull in movements to be able to go back to reconsider my position. And ultimately, it was on I think it was on a Monday, a couple of weeks back, and I looked to see whether or not I'd missed the deadline for the start of the new academic term, and I'd missed it by 2 days. It was the Friday, the Friday before, so I'd only missed it really by 1 working day. But I wanted to see whether or not I could get on this particular course that I'd seen, because I felt that I would be able to do something constructive. And obviously, flat earthers get accused of not having any peer-reviewed stuff. So I just felt that I would do this and see if I could get on the course, even though it was technically late. So I did everything that was necessary, right? And, you know, like it's like in most aspects of life, if you claim something, you're going to have to prove it if you get put on the spot. So the entry requirements to get on this particular course were an undergraduate degree and then a postgraduate diploma or some other equivalent postgraduate qualification. Now, obviously, I'm claiming that I've got both, right? And I know that some people question whether I have got any or find disbelief that I have both. But either way, I'm making a claim. And if you're going to make a claim, you've got to prove that it's true. So I had to blow the dust off some of my old paperwork and get the evidence that they needed to prove that I could satisfy the entry requirements to be actually on the course in question. And obviously I did, because that's what you have to do when you're making a search, and you've got to prove that it's true. Unless you're in flat earth, of course, when it seems to be the case that you can pretty much say anything you want, and so long as it's logical and reasonable, then it's considered to be true. And I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's a really low standard of proof. And you can only really speculate based on logic and reason, but you definitely cannot prove anything. And we had the conversation the other day about whether or not there might be an ice wall. And regardless of the ins and outs of that, it's speculative because we can't prove it. And you have to have evidence to prove your position. Otherwise, it's just speculation and nothing more. It's a just so story. Lovely. Doesn't really prove anything, though, which is what I seem to find is a lot of the positions that the ballers take. Refraction, for example, curvature, bendy water. You know, all this is lovely, but we don't really see it. And there's no real evidence to prove these points. So it dawned on me that there was an opening that I might be able to explore and present an argument that I felt would get me the particular qualification sorted. And I was going to question the validity of what we're told are truths, facts, life numbers, or whatever you want to call it in the national curriculum, because we all get told the same stuff at school. We all know that 93 million miles sun. We all know the order of the planets. So we're told. And that's basically what I felt. I felt that I would be able to question the validity of what we're taught in school, then question it with regards to what the law says we should be getting taught, see whether or not anybody, somebody, or numerous people could be, should be, or would be like accountable if it turns out that, hey, these things aren't actually being proven. These things are just a story. Logical and reasonable, maybe, but not proof. And that was what I decided I wanted to do. I wanted to challenge the application of the national curriculum in regards to the facts to see whether or not we could get this distant sun sorted, amongst other things. But that's one of them. Because it's really difficult to find the actual answer. So that's what I did. I applied for a course, got onto the course, provided the evidence that I did what I said I could do and stuff like that, you know, things that ballers don't do. And the intention is to write this document, get it peer reviewed through the exam board, back out the other side, and then for it to stand on its own in its own right as a peer reviewed legal criticism of, or critique of, whether or not the national curriculum can prove the things that it teaches us all from a very young, impressionable age about the things in the solar system. Because I don't think it can. I can't find credible, reliable, repeatable evidence, citations for the distance to the sun. I can't find a continuous, it was a such and such a person in such and such a year, and he used this technique. The evidence just isn't there. Every time I look for it, I get a different one. I get a different person. So it's the lack of like continuity or reliability of the evidence for me that makes it sound plausible, at least, that we might not be being taught facts. We might be being taught stories that everybody just accepts are facts, but that doesn't make it true. Evidence is important. Stories are not that important. And
hey, Travis. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, Travis, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yo. So basically, it's a case of, can these people that we were taught from prove that what we were taught is true? And I'm not saying it's flat by asking the question, but I'm asking to see the proof, not the just so story, not the logic and reason. I want to see the proof that we can know the distance to the sun. And I've not been able to find any. And the longer it's gone on and the more I've asked the question, and the less people have come up with any responses at all, or responses that have always got that little bit of woolliness to it. It was felt that, it was decided that, it was concluded that, not proved. It just started to make me more and more doubtful that these are actually true stories. It sounds like they're just so stories. And if they are just so stories, is that what we should be expecting from our education system? Or should it be taught that these are just so stories and this is what we think at the moment, but there are other interpretations for the things that we see in the sky that we call planets? And that's really what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack what we're taught, see is anybody legally responsible, and basically try and find the proof that these things are true. And if they're not true, then I'm going to present the argument that states that, well, why are we being taught this stuff? people should be getting taught either the truth or this is one thing that we believe, but there's an alternative explanation, and it should be one or the other, and we should get the choice to decide ourselves. And that would make exams far more interesting rather than being dogmatically taught that the sun is 93 million miles away and Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, then Mars, because it's basically a narrative, a story that everybody has to recite. And there's no thought in it. It's just repetition and theme. And I'm just wondering how valid is the story that we were told as kids, because I've got a feeling it's a story and it's not truth, but it's taught as truth and we've all been deceived. That's what I think. So I'm going to do a paper. And the beauty of it is, right or wrong, if it works out that I do find out information that proves that Mars or Venus or whatever is what it is, and I can find it in numerous citations in different places, and they all corroborate the same version of events with the same evidence standard, then I'll present that and I'll say maybe the Mars is as far away as what they say, or Venus or whatever. But it's the lack of reliable, credible, repeatable information or evidence that supports one particular story that's the problem. And I think at this point, I'm going to be saying that it doesn't seem to be conclusive either way. But I have been given a document this morning about Jodrell Bank, and I live right near to Jodrell Bank. So I'm going to be making contact with them because they are cited as being people that measured Venus's distance using radar. So I'm going to try and contact them through the university email address. And I'm going to try and see whether or not I can get hold of these documents because there must be evidence at Jodrell Bank. It's only down the road from me. And if I can, I'm going to go there. I'm going to see if I can actually see it happening, even if I have to pay. I'm going to see if I can get them to do it for me, or at least produce me something with Jodrell Bank written on it that proves that they did it and this is the results. Because I've got a feeling, again, that these things are just so stories and not actual evidence that proves that a certain event happened. So that's why I'm doing it. That's the GoFundMe. And, well, we're halfway there, and we haven't even plugged it, really.
Well,
so
I've stuck it in the chat. So while you've been talking, I've been spamming the chat with your GoFundMe link. So if you're watching this either live now or in the re-up, go and at least check out the GoFundMe page. It's got a lot more information on there, and just share it if nothing else. You know, it'd be great if you all obviously contributed to it, but it'd be also great if you shared it. So go and check it out. The link's in the public chat now. I'll leave a comment on the video once it's rendered. But yeah, go and check out the GoFundMe page.
So that's basically where I'm at. That's why I wanted to do it, because I want to challenge critically the current thinking of what we're taught. And I think it's a valid thing to do, because once you get access to university databases, you get all of it. You get everything. Now, obviously, you're only going to use one or two in your niche area, but you get everything. So I'll be able to get access to the science and technology department, for example. So I will be able to get journals that cite accurate measurements to the distance of the sun and all that. And I'll be looking for the wiggly words that give wiggle room for the strength of the evidence that's presented, because they're always going to be there as far as I can see, because it always seems to be the case that they're full of wiggly words. So that's where I'm at the minute, and I'm doing it because I believe that we might have been lied to. That's basically what I think.
Cool.
So
very cool. You're going to do a let's get it right, Sleeping Warrior-a-thon soon, are you not?
Yeah, after the show at some point, probably maybe 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. Not entirely sure. Whatever time we can work around and get it done.
Cool. Look forward to that. Excellent.
Shout out to Tornagown.
To who?
Tornagown. He says, Riley, you are a twat. Somebody retract it, please.
I just approve that comment.
Did you see Jaren last night retract the shout out that we did?
I did. I laughed so hard. I put it in I was listening in the background, so I wasn't necessarily in the chat the whole time.
Shout out retracted.
And then I heard no, retracted. I was like, what did he just say? And I went back and spun it back, like rewound it on the DVR, and then he said it, but then he repeated it. He was like, oh yeah, I was retracting a shout out to the trolls.
He's been watching.
Yeah, I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the live feed now, because I've actually got Nick blocked, and he says you can buy access to journals for 40 quid, not 2,100. Yeah, but you don't get the peer review element if you get access to journals, and that wouldn't be seen as being peer reviewed then, would it? So come on, no. Nick, think about it.
No.
No.
Let's contextualize it. He's saying you can go and get the distance to the sun from a nature journal for 40 quid.
Oh, right. Is that what he's on about?
Yes.
Lenny Harry says, Riley is going to give out the name of the university so I can phone up and track his progress over the time he's on the course. I'll be doing regular updates. You won't need to ring up any universities to try and find out where I am. I won't be volunteering it because of people like you. So no, I won't be giving out the name of the university for obvious reasons. All you guys need to know is that I'll be doing regular updates. And, well, basically Bob, Jaren, Nathan, everybody that's like prominent in Flat Earth, they've seen all the documentation that's necessary to prove that this is actually genuinely happening. There's no question that I'm doing this course. I will be sat there with my bum on the seat and I will be part of it. Cold shivers.
Anywho, you're going to address Nick's point that you can just go and get the distance to the sun, for example, as it's one of the many points I'm sure you'll be raising. But for 40 quid, you could just go and get that from a book, Anthony. What's wrong with you?
For 40 quid, you can go and get that book. Yeah, but the point is, like I said, it's to get it peer reviewed. Yeah, they can tell me. I mean, Nick, I'll challenge you. If you think you'll have an Athens password, you're still at university, aren't you?
No, you still haven't understood. He's saying for £40, you can walk into and buy a book journal that will contain the distance to the sun.
Okay, so a journal is secondary evidence. It's not considered good evidence. It might be considered good by science in terms of peer review, but from evidence perspective, secondary evidence is not considered strong. It's persuasive at best. It does not prove anything. It is a document that cites something that proves nothing. It's secondary. That's it. That's not strong evidence. That wouldn't get you. That would maybe scrape you a C if you relied on journal references. So that's not strong enough evidence for me, and it wouldn't be in law either.
So no bueno for distance to the sun from a journal then.
No what? Sorry.
Not a good source if you want an actual distance to the sun.
No, the secondary evidence, they're not primary evidence. There would be primary evidence out there, but it's whether or not it's correctly documented and whether or not you can get hold of it. But I'm aware that Jodrell Bank were responsible for some part of the Venus radar bounces. And the problem with that is that the Jodrell Bank people even admitted that they did 5 different pings over I think it was over a 2 or a 3 day period. And they were not satisfied themselves that their own ping data were actual pings from Summit that they call Venus. 2 of the times they got nothing back at all. 3 of the times they did get stuff back, but it wasn't conclusive to be able to argue that it was ping data, because it could have been from something else, like pollutants in the sky or whatever. It could be anything. It could be bouncing off the ionosphere. Who knows what the cause was, but they weren't even satisfied themselves that the ping data were from this celestial body that they call Venus. So these are all things that I'm building up as like forming a picture. There's more to it, and I've only just got this document in the last hour or so, so I've had a quick read through it. But the point of it is, even Jodrell Bank themselves weren't satisfied that they did get a ping data match. Now, I can validate the Jodrell Bank stuff if they'll let me, so I'll send them an email from the university email address, introducing who I am and what I want, and see if I can get actual empirical evidence from Jodrell Bank themselves, acknowledging whether they did or did not, and what the evidence for their position, if they did, is for the ping data that goes to and from, because Jodrell Bank should be able to sort this out. So I should be able to, and that would be considered primary evidence. How credible it is or not is another issue, but it's primary evidence. And I'm going to see if I can get it, because I'm really interested. I want to know how they know the distance, and I don't think that they can prove it.
Indeedy. Well, we all wish you the best of support. Again, I'll spam the chat feed with your GoFundMe link. Hopefully it'll drum up some cash for you. We shall see. But yeah, I look forward to the fundraiser. Like when the Ranty-a-thon was on for the P1000 camera that he was raising money for. It was jolly good fun, actually, doing the fundraiser itself. So you better have a good show in store. I've got my evening. I've got my popcorn. I've got my drink. I'm going to be in the chat. It's all my evening's planned. So it better be good.
Well, I'm just going to kind of reminisce about stuff that I got up to at university just to set the scene, because most of my university life was fantastic. I loved it. But thinking back on it now, the fond memories that I have, I actually shudder at the thought of having to go through that again now, because it's time consuming, and it's like, it's not, what's the word? You've got to dedicate a big chunk of your life to it. and commit to doing stuff that you didn't necessarily realize what the quantity of that work meant. Because it's quite heavy workloads. You've got to do a lot of reading. And I'll be honest, I haven't really read that much since leaving university because I had to read that much in university. It was like an overload. And I didn't really enjoy doing it by the end of it because it was so much reading and not a lot of playing around. But that being said, I am looking forward to finding something that I am like very interested in, because ultimately, if these people are not able to really prove their points in a basically black and white, it's black and white, you either can prove it or you can't. And it's not difficult. You either present your evidence and show us how you got it and blah, 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 or you don't. And I don't think they will. I don't think that there'll be credible evidence there. But I'm looking forward to finding out. And if it turns out that and I'll be doing updates as well, when I do get these journal references that tell me where the primary source information is, or the primary source evidence is, when I try and get hold of that primary source evidence, if it turns out that they do what they say they do, then I'll report it as such. But ultimately, I get the chance to show.
So I'm going to do a few shout-outs, if that's good by you, Anthony.
Yeah, go.
So, big shout-out to me for being the first contributor to your campaign. Also, shout-out to Stefan Poyce for your contribution. Christopher Lees, massive shout-out to you. Thank you very much for donating to Anthony's GoFundMe. Anonymous, whoever you may be, thank you very much. Leon Geng, massive thank you to you, my friend. Jonathan Vincent, otherwise known as Haunted House, big shout out to you. Brandon Toy, big spender, thank you very much for contributing to Anthony's GoFundMe. Michael Seklus, I butcher this now and he's told it me phonetically. Michael Sekluveski, hope that's alright. Thank you very much indeed for contributing. Slightly Looming Non-Standard Refraction Hyena, thank you very much indeed for contributing to Anthony's cause. Earth Flatness, same goes for you, thanks again. Benjamin Coe, thank you very much indeed. £100, wow. Ian Matheson, thank you very much. Betty Von Velsen, again £100, wow, thank you very much. Warren Bray, big shout out to you for contributing. Robert Scott, I think he shared off the back of someone else's sharing it. Sure, it's mentioned at the top that someone had shared it, and that was that contribution. Big shout out to you, Robert Scott. Russ Houghton, Anthony Riley, shout out to you. You're on the show.
Yay!
Shout out retracted. Sarah Christina, shout out to you. Shane Cook, otherwise known as Ranty Flat Earth, big shout out to you. Farley Frezera, big shout out to you. Thank you very much. John Kennedy, again, thank you very much for supporting Anthony's cause. Really appreciate it. I think the next lot came off the back of your showing with Globebusters yesterday. So, Paul Kneeling, thank you very much for contributing to Anthony's GoFundMe. Let's get Flat Earth through the peer review. Bob Nodal, big shout out to you. Jeff Davis, big shout out. Thank you very much. Jaron Campanella, thank you very much indeed. Ger Andres Zhang, thank you very much for contributing. A lot of people. Belinda Sybeck, I hope I've got that right. Thank you very much indeed. David Killen, David Killen, thank you very much for contributing. Paul on the plane, or Paul, good on you, my man. Thank you very much. Carl Cyrus. Thank you, Carl. Really appreciate it. And last but not least, Fitzgerald DeGraff. Fitzgerald DeGraff, thank you very much indeed. And we are joined, excellent timing, by Adam, who did a really, really good presentation. I think it was just a snapshot of it that you published, but good to have you here, Adam.
Hi guys, you're right.
Very well. Tell us about your presentation. I'll plug Anthony's GoFundMe one last time in the chat, but maybe you can segue away from Anthony's e-begging and we'll move on to your presentation.
I was just coming to support the e-bagging, actually. That's what I was just saying. We gave it a good shout out on Friday night as well.
Hey, Adam, can you just confirm that when people apply for a particular course, when it gives the entry requirements, they are very military about proving it? So if the entry requirements dictate that you must have an undergrad and a postgrad, then you've got to prove that there's got to be an undergrad and there's got to be a postgrad. And logic and reason, or the word of man, is not considered good enough evidence for the sake of getting on a course. Could you just verify that's true?
Yeah, if you're hiring a bloody car, you have to turn up with your driving license, don't you, to prove you qualified in that. So if you're enrolling on something that is going to qualify, it's reasonable isn't it? And
So
basic. Even when we went to uni the first time, you have to rock up with your A-level certificates and that, and hand them and prove it that you got the grades that you said you did when you, yeah.
So where's the evidence for the distance to the sun then, and why is it so difficult to find? I mean, shouldn't it be, if the whole body of science has got it right, shouldn't it be on the tip of everyone's tongue because everybody would know about it?
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But that might be because there isn't any evidence for it.
That's what I think. I think that either there is none, or the truth may well be out there, but you've got to go digging for it because they don't want to tell you the truth because blah, blah, blah. But either way, it's not that easy to come across, and I've been asking for it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's been bugging me that no one's come up with anything credible. Hence the reason why I've decided to do this, because I think that these guys might actually be telling us a just so story, and everybody's stupid enough just to accept that it's true, and it's a just so story anyway. And I'm like, that's not really good enough. We should be getting taught either the truth or a disclaimer saying this is not necessarily the truth, but this is what we believe, and that's not what we were told.
Hey, Flat Earth Ginger, good to have you. Or maybe not.
He hasn't removed anybody.
No, I think he's just away from his mic.
Is this the guy that joined yesterday?
He's just had a recent name change. I think he was called I'm Sorry or something previously, or no.
I remember him. What would be really cool is if we had Tufter Trees that made a donation, or somebody, you know, a decent troll account.
That's what happened on Ranty Show. There were some genuine ones, but you know, people were donating and saying they were the rumpus and things like that.
Yeah.
Where are you up to, Anthony, at the moment? What's the totalizer on?
Just over £1,000.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Halfway there, basically.
Yeah, we're halfway there almost, yeah. I mean, I'll get the exact figure now. Give me unless Nathan's got it on screen, have you?
I'm sure I can bring it up. Bear with me a second.
I'll see if I can get it done quicker. 1025 we're at, so 1025, and we need to get to 2100, so we are almost exactly halfway.
Almost exactly, eh?
Almost exactly. It's as near as saying we know the distance, isn't it? We're almost exactly there.
It's a very, very Miles Davis term, that.
Miles, exactly. You mean Miles the Liar Davis?
For the sake of this video, it's halfway.
Yeah. Loosely speaking.
Loosely speaking.
Don't be sending us hate messages saying technically it's not. We know it's not. It's like when I say
realize
I don't actually mean it in that context. Sure, I know.
You don't have to stop. You don't have to contextualize it.
Yeah. Well, some people out there will start the hate.
Yeah, but let's just draw a line under it here and just say we know and we're joking. Hey, Earth Flattener.
Shout out to Chocolate as well when he gets in.
I think it takes a bit of time, actually, Anthony, you know, because what you're announcing, it's quite broad-reaching and everything. And like when we was on Friday night, when you was explaining it to Nathan and Brendan, I think they were quite quiet first off.
Okay.
Kind of got chewing on it.
We hear you.
Started them a bit.
Sorry.
Brendan, did you say Nathan and Brenda?
Brendan.
Oh, Brendan.
Yeah, Nathan Thompson and.
Oh, right. I'm with you. Well, I've got to do a poll. I've got to do a posed question, which is basically telling them what I want to do, and I've drafted that this morning. It's only a page. It's supposed to be like 400 words, so I've kind of drafted that already. It's about 400. No word count. Let's have a look. It's a little bit more. Yeah, it's 750. I think
just drop the first 3 sentences.
Pardon?
Just drop the first 3 sentences.
I don't know. I quite like them. I'm not sure what I'll do with them yet. I've considered what you're saying. Basically, I've got to tell the teacher or the lecturer what I want to do, why I want to do it, and what I'm trying to discuss. So I've got to basically sell it to them as like an advert. So it's basically, I'm not really dealing with the content or the structure. It's just basically selling it to her like a product or a service. I don't know. Should I read it or should I?
No. So save it for your Sleeping Warrior-a-thon later, and do it on that. So, I mean, I'm quietly confident that you may even reach your target during the Ranty. I'll stop calling it a Ranty-a-thon, a Sleeping Warrior-a-thon, your campaign, which will be later. So, yeah, I'd save all these details for then. Tune in for more wide-ranging details on Anthony and what he'll be doing. Trolls, You'll be taking notes. I'm sure you'll be there scribbling the exact words of how he says it so you can get some clues. It'll be lovely. You'll enjoy it greatly, I'm sure. But tune in. That'll be later on Sleeping Warriors channel.
Send us a copy over, Anthony. I'll have a listen to this afternoon.
Yeah, perfect. So there's people in the know, because I've seen it too, so have a few others. So you haven't seen it, audience members, but Adam's about to see it, so we know and you don't. You have to tune in later, won't they, to Sleeping Warriors, Sleeping Warrior-a-thon.
Yeah, I'm just gonna how many universities are there in the UK? So let's see how many there are. As of August 2017, there are 106.
Hi, Billy. Hold on a second. Hi, Billy.
Hiya.
Hey, good to have you. Sorry about kicking you the other day.
No worries, I'm used to it.
So as of August 2017, there are 106 universities in the whole of the UK. Well, good luck trying to find out which one it is.
Won't people just automatically assume it's whatever university you went to last time?
Maybe.
That really happens, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, people don't tend to do that because you tend to. Well, maybe they would. Well, they don't even know what my last university was either. They haven't worked it out. They don't even think that I went to 2 universities. Most people think that I only went to 1.
So there's some ambiguity about whether or not this is a flat-out scam. You've not got any education behind you whatsoever, and you just want a couple of grand, and then you're going to run away.
Well, the trolls are not very good at research. Sometimes they claim that they're fantastic at research, but they're not actually that good.
Are you on Wiki?
Are you
on Wikipedia? Are you personally on Wikipedia?
I don't think so.
Oh, well then forget it.
If I am, I'm not aware that I am.
I mean, if you were on Wikipedia, they'd know all about you, wouldn't they? Instantaneously, because that's primary source research right there.
I guess so. Yeah, but they can't even find whether or not I've got the secondary qualification, the postgrad. So I think somebody somewhere has found the undergrad. I don't really know how they did it. I'm not that bothered. But what's interesting is that they could find one but not the other. And I don't really know how or why they've not found the other one. But it doesn't matter to me. It's like, good luck looking for that one. So I'm pretty certain they're not going to get anything. Because you need to know what faculty it's coming from. And that's half the battle, knowing. If you don't know the university, you need to know what faculty it's coming from. So, I'm just going to sit back and put my feet up and just let. I mean, what I've got to do, I've got to go through a particular course that teaches me about the library, where all the electronic resources, how the electronic resources work, and where all the physical resources, the paperback resources are, how to order journal references. I've got to learn that again because I already know the electronic stuff, but I mean, it'll all be slightly different. There may not even be an Athens password anymore. But I think there probably will be. But the point is, I've got to learn how to do the basics again. But once the basics are done, I already know the content of the material and stuff. So it's just a case of putting pen on paper. Say again.
Nobody said anything.
Oh, I thought I got interrupted.
Have we had you on before? I've got Nada as your name. Is that what you want to be called, Nada?
Yeah, I'm was not was, but I changed it to Billy was.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
I had the Buzz Aldrin on the Buzz Lightyear icon before.
No, I know exactly who you are now.
Yeah, he's got good hair. I remember one time he came on. It looked like he just blow dried his hair with them. Ow! Don't do that. Oh my god!
I haven't watched it this morning.
I'm being mad by the dogs. I'm gonna have to go on mute a minute.
So what about Earth
Can I ask
flattening?
a quick?
Sorry, go on. My bad. Was not was. Hey, chocolate.
Good morning.
We haven't heard from Earth. So I was just gonna say we haven't heard from Earth Flattener yet. And it doesn't look like we're going to. You carry on, Was.
There's a question about the flight times. I've heard people saying that the flight times are the same going from different countries. I had a quick look yesterday, and like the flight time from London to New York, it's an hour quicker coming back from New York to London, I think it was. Is that jet stream, or is that well, it's not going to be the spin of the earth, so is that jet streams, is it?
Yeah, trade wind.
Yeah, I think
basically.
so. We do work to and from Manchester Airport a lot, and flight VS074 coming in from, can't remember where it comes, Orlando, I think it might be. That always lands an hour early. And bear in mind that the airlines get fined for it. That's one of the things that real world has like imprinted on my mind as a wonder why that might be. But every time I ask the passengers, each time they come out the airport, they always say, because the pilot said you get a tailwind coming home. So as far as I'm aware, the cause is tailwind. Some people might say that's Coriolis. I'm sure George would say it's Coriolis, but he argues that the atmosphere sticks with the Earth, so I don't think he could argue it. I think the cause is actually winds. Might be wrong, but that's what I am led to believe the cause is.
It'd be nice to have some sort of proof of some flight that doesn't fly in a jet stream with a tailwind, that it's the same amount of time both ways.
I think the trouble is, is this validity we're putting upon the time, as if the time the flight takes has any bearing or major bearing on the distance travelled. I fly to Italy and back a lot, and the flight will leave half an hour, 20 minutes late, 10 minutes, 5 minutes early, but it pretty much lands at the same time. So I think these aren't measuring tools. We've got aeroplanes. They're running to a clock and landing to schedules, and so their path time is pretty much dependent on when they're allowed to land. So the air time is. So I think there's a hell of a lot of leeway, and it's not just so much air speeds that can help, but I think the majority of it is the landing slot, and they'll time the flight accordingly.
And if they wanted to fix it, all they got to do, because most of the planes run on the automatic system, don't they, George? All they got to do is set the computer to either speed the plane up or slow it down again accordingly to make it land at whatever time they want to land at. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't think you can draw any real inference in terms of distances from flight times. There's obviously the big transatlantic and Pacific flights that will be pretty steady, but I still think there's sufficient variables in there to hide anything you want.
Yeah, it's the cause that's the issue, isn't it?
There's always been a couple of things that it makes me doubt the flat Earth, but like that being one of them. But that's just a slight one. And the other one is like the picture that Nathan's got on now, the sunset.
What about it?
But as the sun moves away from us, I know we don't know what the sun is, and we don't know how it works, but like when it. So I've seen the sun that dropped down, and like half of it is disappeared over the horizon, but I've seen other ones that it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've never like filmed a sunset, and I've never really seen one properly to differentiate whether half of it disappears or whether it gets smaller as it goes further away.
Okay, I mean, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things I take away from these images, which I took. First thing is that the thing that the sun is actually going over is a land horizon. So this isn't like those water shots. The reason it's being obscured is because there is something obscuring it, i.e. a row of trees on a hill in the distance. So that's the first thing. The second thing, although it's small, you can see that there is a point in what has been obscured after the videos reach this point. The audience can see, but for your benefit in the Hangout, the horizon, if you like. There's also that very limited angle to whichever point is not just being obscured by whatever's in the near foreground, i.e. this row of trees. So you can still see that it's reaching that diffraction limit because it's squashing anybody who watched Globebusters yesterday saw Ranty go through this in great detail, and I was screaming from the chat going, we're talking about the diffraction limit, and the sun, regardless of what it is definitely reaching the diffraction limit when it does this. That's why you get the inverted reflection, as Fouquet word incorrectly identified it as in his most recent video. And again, I was in the chat going, he described it later on in the video, but it's at the point where you're seeing a reflection of the sun upside down upon itself. It's not a reflection. It's not a reflection off the water. That's caused by the diffraction limit of whatever you're using, be it your eye or a camera, being reached. And that's down to the angle of view. So in the same instance, there is a point beyond my horizon, this hill in the near foreground, where the sun's going to go and continue to appear. It's only got an apparent position, remember, to get further away. And at some stage, whatever it may be, is reaching the diffraction limit. That's why you get the upside down quote-unquote reflection underneath it. So there are certain things that I can extrapolate from the sun without just saying, I don't know what it is, therefore I relinquish all responsibility of what it does. Certain things I can surmise from looking at its actions. One is that it does definitely reach the diffraction limit. Therefore, I hate to conclude something, but if I was forced to, it is getting too small to see. Otherwise it wouldn't reach the diffraction limit. So that's my conclusions from it. That's as much as I've probably ever said on the sun. I'll probably have my toes held to the fire for it for some of that I've just said. But either way.
Yeah, Ranty's Stena Line boat videos, that helps a lot with the squashing.
Yeah, that is a very excellent example of the boat getting further into the distance and getting more and more, or the bottom section at least, the bit that's in that limited angle, getting squashed and more squashed as it gets further and further away and more into that limited angle. The top half, you've got a wider viewing angle to, so it doesn't get squashed. Only the bottom section gets squashed until it reaches the absolute limit and then it disappears. That's why you lose stuff bottom up. It's down to the viewing angle. Nothing more. As you rise up, you increase your viewing angle, therefore you can see it again. Sod all to do with Earth curve, everything to do with the angle of view. Also, it's really pretty.
Guys, I'm going to have to shoot off for a bit. I'll try and get back for the second show, Nath. But
wherever you on, this is it.
I was quiet there. I was just making sure I put my couple of quid into the fund. So,
kudos on the presentation that Iron Round put out. Was it you that sort of snipped that out? Or?
Yeah. I tidied them slides up a little bit. Hopefully, somebody said in the chat, well, what was the point of that? And it wasn't to shatter the earth with some discovery or something. It really was just to put into context a lot of the crap that I'd heard, and actually resolve some of the statements people were making, so I understood it. Do you know what I mean? So just sticking the numbers in so you could see what it is when people are making these claims. And like I said, for me, I think it would be very feelable, but certainly it would be measurable and demonstrable if this
that's the point that I extrapolated from it. You're talking about something that's made physical through mathematics, and only through mathematics. We're talking about things that we are debating as being real or not real, but they're qualified as real. And when we're talking about forces, you can quantify that mathematically, as it started off mathematically anyway. So you can make it a bit more actual for people to think about. But yeah, very cool. I mean, yeah, just cool. Kudos.
Sorry. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Thanks.
Right, I'll catch you guys in a bit, yeah?
Cool.
Take care.
See you.
Good luck, Nate.
Thank you very much, sir.
Cheers, pal. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Anthony,
Yo.
what's your fund up to now?
205, 105, I think it said.
Hey, it was 600 when I had it.
Hang on. I had it open a minute ago. There it is.
Well, someone else must have donated then.
It's now 1050.
It's Adam Meakin.
Adam's just put 25 squids in, that's why.
Well done, Adam. Kudos. More kudos to Adam.
Shout out to Chocolate, who's just joined as well, because he put in some as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt, brother. I got you back.
So we're officially, not almost, kind of, halfway.
Yeah. Hang on, what's the so 1050? So that would be 2100. It is halfway, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
halfway.
Ah, right. So we can get away with that one now.
Precisely, mathematically.
Yeah.
All
So
that good
maths
stuff.
is reality, right?
No, not really. An example of maths
What
not
you
being
asking?
reality is, so at the end of your goal, you reach 2,100 and you go, right, there it is. I've raised 2,100. Math is reality, right? Yeah, until a few people's credit cards get stopped or something goes wrong with one of the payments and someone has to resubmit some details or they've used an out-of-date credit card or whatever. You know what I mean? It's always bloody something, as you well know. So to say that just because you've got a number on a screen, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is reality. Of course not. It's just a number on a screen.
What time limit is the fund set for? Is it like a week or 2 weeks or?
No, I don't think
there
there's
is
a
a
time limit on it. I think it stays open until you hit it. I don't really know, to be honest. I just know Ranty did it, and that's how it works. I'm not really sure. No, it can't be. It must go over. It must be open indefinitely, I think, unless you close it. Because when I was looking at the web page, the homepage, like there would be like person A that wanted help for medical treatment or following an accident of some kind or whatever, and they needed, say, $1,200, and they get like $19,000 or something like that. So it must be open until such time as it stops working, I guess.
That's all right, because next month I'm chipping a bit more.
Coolio. If it's still open in a month. I doubt it. I'm hoping that you'll actually achieve your goal by the end of your Sleeping Warrior-a-thon. I'll certainly be rooting for you in the chat whilst listening to the information rather than participating in it. Like now, I mean.
So I'm I shot the sheriff donator.
I shot the sheriff. That's you.
Well, that's what Anthony's. He wrote that song. I shot the sheriff because he said your name's Warren.
Oh, yes.
I didn't understand where he got my Warren B from because Warren B did the song, didn't he? My name is Warren B.
Not even listening, is he? How rude.
Yeah.
Isn't it Warren G?
Oh, Warren G was it? You said Warren B. I thought.
I think he said Warren B. But if
Huh?
he's talking about who I think he's talking about, it's Warren G.
Sorry, I was on the phone. I did hear you speaking to me, but I was just answering the phone. What was the question?
Who did you say sang I shot the sheriff?
I shot the sheriff. Well, there's been a few, wasn't there? Bob Marley was one, wasn't there?
The Warren one.
Warren G.
Ah, G. I thought you said B.
Warren G. I think it's Warren G. It might be Warren B. I might be totally wrong. It's
Nah,
been a while
No,
since
no,
I've heard
Warren
that
G.
song.
Warren G.
it's G.
Was it Warren G? Was that right?
You're talking about the rapper.
It was G, but didn't you say B?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said B that first aid. I didn't catch it, but yeah, if he's talking about the rapper, it's Warren G.
Yeah, Warren G. But I said Warren B. I was probably thinking Bob Marley at the same time and getting the two mixed up.
Yeah, looking at the chat, George Stevens, he said B, it was G.
When was this? When did I say this? This was like a while ago, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh, come on, I've slept since.
I think it's about a week ago because you said, Warren, did you shoot the sheriff? And I said, no, I didn't like it. I wonder where you get it from, but because my name is Warren B.
Ah,
No
right. I
way.
must have been thinking it Warren because I remember the line.
So
Warren
let me get it
B,
straight.
wait
You're
for me.
Warren B, and was in the chat is also Warren B.
No. What
Well, that's
was
what it
the no?
says. Was in the chat says, I'm Warren B in capitals.
Oh,
This
is
is
it?
getting dead confusing.
It is getting confusing. When it was not was, it was confusing enough. Now we've got both Warrens are Warren B.
The drunk Australian is Warren B as well. I'm glad I changed mine to Billy then.
Hey Alan, good to have you.
Hello, I'm Alan B.
Oh, don't confuse things even further, for God's sake. Oh, he's only come to say that. That's all he dropped in by. I love it. Just to confuse things even further.
Oh, it was silly.
Yes. Anyway, that was very flat Earth related. Love it.
Oi.
We haven't done housekeeping. Are any Globers on the panel? Everyone falls deathly silent. Any Glowbeds on? Any Glowbeds on the panel?
No.
No. Bummer. Oh, well, I was going to do late housekeeping because there's only going to be one slightly longer show today. Need a Globehead on though to do it mid-show. Link is in the info box.
Is there any chance of doing the housekeeping once a week, maybe?
No way. Want that point drummed home every single time, even if it keeps them away. Even if they go, oh crap, don't want to join if they've mentioned that at the beginning of the show, because I'll just bring it up. Well, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, the housekeeping represents the most devastating arguments for the globe earth religion.
Do you know what we should do, Nathan, to speed it up? You know that tick box thing that you have when we join and it says like, be aware that you are being recorded and people that blah, blah, blah. You should have like a tick box that you have to tick, 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 tick to come in that says, by ticking this box, you agree that there is no evidence of blah, blah, blah. And that would just save us from having to do it and they all agree to it when they come in and that's why they'll never come in.
Might get Negator X on, hopefully. We'll see.
What was that about Negator X?
Might join.
Oh.
Someone
Just there was a long pause afterwards
join,
and I didn't know whether I missed because I missed the beginning of it. Didn't quite catch what you said.
Yeah, someone in the chat said it. Ignore me. They might just be talking rubbish. All are welcome. Anybody can join. Links in the info box.
It just gets a bit droll as well when Arvin doesn't seem to think it means Earth related and he keeps coming up with these different unearth related reasons for it.
I know. Did you see the little 1-minute video I released just before the show?
No.
I didn't make it yesterday. It was the Westy walk, and I was out taking the dogs for a walk because we do it once a month, and if it's local enough. And whilst I was on the show,
morning.
Check 1 2.
Hey,
good to have you.
Yeah. What up, brothers?
How you doing, dude?
Chilling, man. Did you guys see Eddie Bravo on Dell's show yesterday?
I did not. I was aware that he was, but I was out doing stuff.
So cool. Pretty cool.
Dubay was on it as well, right?
What's up, Joe? Yeah.
So what
is that Timmy?
What's new in the world of Issa?
Just chilling, man. Freaking been hanging.
Always just real Timmy.
Always just chilling, yeah.
Are you going to make an appearance and come back to it, or are you going to still keep on the fringes?
I've just been, you know what, man? I'm not in the spot where I'm like putting together all the because when I was running the shows, I had to have everything set up correctly, and I just don't have the internet and the time, and I'm all over the place at the moment, so it's kind of been a little different, but it's good. I like it. And there's only honestly, like, God bless you guys, because there's only so much. I don't know. I think you guys keep up the flag, man. God bless you. I did it for a couple of years with the debates, but it's tough to keep going. So respect.
Is that a real Tim I kicked? Because I didn't get a hello out of him because you guys were talking. Not that I'm moaning at you, but
yeah, I asked too. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, well, if he was, try again.
So do we have some Aussies on the panel?
Where's Roofy? He was supposed to talk to me about
Roofy. Forgot that gag. Roofy, because he sends everyone to sleep.
Yeah. Well, he made a video about the 600 nautical miles, and he did when he made the video, he calculated from WGS 84 from Google Earth and didn't actually stay true to plain sailing navigation, which is you treat the latitude and the longitude lines as like a box. You don't change the angle if you do it. But he made a video kind of trying to talk about the 600 nautical miles being flat. And I was wondering if he'd been back around.
Has this been eating you up, Issa? Has Roofy been getting to you?
No. I like Roofy. I just haven't talked to him in a while. This is usually the platform that I do. So he's an Aussie too. So he's a good dude to get on here.
Has he got it wrong?
Well, I don't think he's got it wrong. He did his calculations, but it was interesting because he's like, oh, like anything over 600 miles, they're saying that you have to use spherical trigonometry, but not many people navigate further than 600 miles, other than shipping and stuff like that. But that's
hi, James, Jimbo.
But that's another issue too. Like over the 600 miles. But he did it, and he was pretty close, and he was like, "Wow, that's pretty accurate." But he had changed his own. He didn't stay true to the idea that you're supposed to treat it as completely flat, longitude and latitude lines, similar. You know what I mean? The same. But I'd love to have a discussion with him about it.
Can I mention a new post up by J. Tolan Media? He did another flight, and he has a presentation where he basically is trying to demonstrate 1,200 miles of view, in fact, beyond, with his IR from a plane. He posted yesterday.
Yeah, Bob mentioned it.
1,200 miles.
I think he put it live whilst Globebusters was on late last night.
That video was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like
right up to Hudson's Bay. You can see the near shore and the body of water.
I mean, I saw that, but I'm not the best at critically analysing these sorts of things. I know you're very good at that, Anthony, but I'd appreciate someone laying it out better than he did. I mean, don't get me wrong, I looked at it, I saw what I saw, but how strong is it? It's one of those it's hard to comprehend what you're actually looking at in terms of what's this useful for? Do you know what I mean? It looked glorious.
Yeah, it's worth more review and analysis a bit and understanding. It does look very telltale that it just mile after mile fields and water and lakes and just off to a flat distance, a huge plain. But
the other one that was presented, which I'm sure got played on this show at some stage with his permission, it had a really distinguishable mountain that couldn't really be anything else. So it instantly for me, it was quantifiable. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. These black sort of things that he's identifying as both the Great Lakes and this further body of water. Yeah, it's new. It's a first, so it's not tried, tested, and repeated and sort of, vetted sort of. It's not perfect. Certainly far from. You can't call it a case closed, deal over. It's still going to take time to do more of them, do more ground tests with nice IR and nice zoom lenses and stuff, and just do further kind of validations with these new distances and stuff that are kind of sharper, or I don't know, just find a way to improve on it if it is indeed what it is. It's good, but it's not quite good enough. I agree. It's pixely back there, but in general, it's congruent with some of the speculation about the condition of.
You think maybe it's because we don't get a whole lot of footage in IR?
It's kind of new. He's been like a pioneer in it for, well, not necessarily with flat intent, but he's certainly been a pioneer in getting some great distance shots with the IR filter, and
right now he's got footage I haven't ever seen before. Like, I don't think anybody else is doing that right now.
No, and some of them, like the LA one, that's pretty sharp. That's sort of like seeing across to Chicago or something across the lake. It's 100+ miles. There's another mountain in the background in his LA video, I guess it is. It's from the ground. He's on the ground. Sure, he's on a hill and stuff, but again, he's pulling stuff up 200 miles away. you know, nothing hidden behind no curve of 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah, because these things should have fallen well behind the curve and not even visible. There should be a horizon before we see these things. This is the Ball Earth model. There is no bulge, there is no drop, there is no contour. It just looks flat. Like Nathan says, it's obviously and observably flat.
Yeah, and mirages are kind of murky when things are, you know, mirage mirrored and stuff. They don't have straight, sharp edges and stuff, you know. It's
and they navigate 600 nautical miles
on a flat, square mapping process. Yeah,
and which means that
by two.
You know, it's hilarious. I'll never forget the one time I was in here. Ron Burgundy brought up how he goes, the reason that they did that was because they didn't have computers like we have today.
No, because look, we tile a floor. We're doing square feet, you know.
I know, no,
it's not a linear square feet. It's a squared. Like floors in people's rooms are kind of boxy, right? So the floor is square too. So smaller subsections of 1 foot by 1 foot, like subsections of the ocean at 1 nautical mile by 1 nautical mile. It's not linear, straight out in front of your nose. It's in a block form or square flat form, side by side and around.
Yeah, it's interesting, which means that no boat went over the curve of the earth at the beach. And that's the beauty of that.
They do at Niagara Falls. You can go over the edge there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's got to the point where it's becoming ludicrous that we're getting to see further and further. And I think these infrared cameras are going to really piss all over Soundly stuff at Pontchartrain, because once people start taking these filters out and start playing with the camera, I mean, it's been bad enough getting people down there anyway, because, like, for all intensive purposes, it's a swamp. And a lot of people say that the air is so thick there, you can taste it. But either way, if we've had people going down there, like Jose, for instance, I think it's a 3-hour drive for him, even though he's a lot closer than he used to be. It's still miles away for him. And he's been over there with his camera, but I'm sure at some point somebody's probably going to get him a camera that he could, like, post back to them after he's played with it or whatever. I'm sure he'd be able to sort it out so that he can get one of those infrared ones and remove all that atmospheric stuff, whatever's causing it. I mean, I don't know what we can call it, because I think there is an overlap optically as well as the angular resolution limitation. But if it's the case that Soundly observation then turns out to be very much different, not just with the normal camera, but with the lens removed, the infrared filter removed, and it removes that distorted stuff at the horizon, I think Soundly's work's then going to prove that it's, basically flat.
P900 with the
hold on a second, Jimbo. Hold on, Jimbo. So Travis has got his mic open, presumably because he wants to add something, because it's just popping and crackling while he's waiting to interject, I think. Did you want to add something, Travis?
Well, it's not something with what we're talking about, but I did want to ask for a lunar check right now, because I've got the moon straight up in the middle of the sky, and if we have any Aussies, I'd be curious as to whether or not they've got any lunar sightings.
The only Aussie that we normally get this time of the day is a drunken one, and I'm not sure he would know his ass from his elbow at this time of the day.
Shout out to Jazzaconda.
Yeah, he's blocked me.
I love Jazz. He's fucking hilarious. Pardon my language. He is hilarious though.
Shout out retracted.
Give me 5 seconds. I love the Rufus. Give me 5 seconds. I just if I say you never give me 5 seconds.
Issa, did you watch Globebusters last night?
I did not, brother. What happened? What I miss?
You know, we give shout outs, and then, like, if we don't agree with it, we'll retract it. Well, I shouted out Nathan's show, and Jaron retracted it.
Oh, that's what.
No, you didn't shout out my show. You shouted out the trolls, and then
did I?
You said shout out to all the trolls, and then Jaron said shout out retractors.
Nice.
I thought it was your show, I did, but either way, he still retracted it.
Oh, that's funny.
It's good.
Yeah, shout out to Jaron. That's what's up.
But ridiculous.
Shout out retracted.
Long photography, and, you know, not just that. There's been so many kind of indications that it's flat that have been demonstrated to people and stuff. And it seems no matter what's put in front of some people, you know, forgetting trolls and stuff, just regular people who believe in the globe model, there's a psychological barrier, the cognitive dissonance, that's not being, you know, sort of penetrated.
Yep. Look at Big L.
What proof is given to them or evidence that really indicates strongly that it's flat, no matter what comes along or how good it is, they're not going to want to change it. They've got too much invested, or there's some type of like physical, psychological block that impedes them from ever getting to the, well, realization that it's flat and they've been lied to. And the downstream of that is there are a lot of other lies to deal with.
Johnny John in the chat wants to jump in. He's a Glober and wants to ask a question. Shall I jump off and let him in?
Nah, that's total horseshit. So the second we get a full panel, we get some random nobody with no subscribers saying he's got some proof. It's like, well, why didn't you join 5 minutes ago? Suddenly you appear with no subscribers. You've suddenly got a great proof. Nah. You know, there's plenty of opportunity for these assholes to join. They wait till there's a full panel and suddenly they've got a great proof they must present. Oh, right. Who are you? Have you got a video about it? Can you tell us about this engineering proof? Tell us about it in the chat. Take a bit of time to actually establish yourself here. We have no idea who you are. Why should we dump a member that's joined for some asshole with no subscribers? No.
I'd agree completely. No subs, that means nobody likes you. What makes you think that you've got a voice here?
Yeah, and George, there's no script for me. There's just flatness and people trying to show it everywhere to other people that just refuse to see it. That's the reality of what this is about. So it's not a script.
Nice to be wanted.
Shout out to Anders Ace, Big L, all the good people out there in the chat. Iron Realm Media. Forgive me, I'm just kind of looking back. But yeah, it's simple. It's like, I look at it like, you know, like you mentioned earlier, Jimbo, it's like you have a cognitive dissonance to a materialist, rationalist mindset that can't give up knowing. And it's like, it's it would serve, I think, ballers well to remember the line, the mark of the wise man is to be able to entertain two opposing ideas and, accept neither. And I've heard it said and asked to ballers, have you ever even considered that the earth might be flat? And they flat out reject it. So that would show that that's the mark of not a wise man, is to not consider the alternative, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Shout out to Show 510 with JLB. Great show.
Shout out to JLB trolling Riley the other day, though. That was kind of hilarious.
Well, I look at it.
What's trolling? Yeah.
He trolled you hard, but you fell for it at every step. You fell for it at every step, though, kid.
I was trying to be polite because I know he's a newbie. I know he's left and then come back, but he's still a newbie because he doesn't know the current arguments. I was just being polite.
I know, but he doesn't care.
When you think back to almost the obedience that people apply to their ball globe religion and stuff, because that's basically what it is. As children, we're taken from our homes, put into these public schools, and we have to be obedient. We have to raise our hands before we can ask to go to the bathroom or stuff like that. We're conditioned to obey, respond to authority, and always sort of follow. So I guess people with that cognitive dissonance have been, kind of locked into this dimension of the mind.
Well, also the problem with that, though, is that certain people with no self-control, it's like that's the reason why we can't have nice things, is because people don't respect others and have the general wherewithal to respect that they're not the only thing in the world. It's a weird balance, and I think the more we get ideally into the idea of self-control, then we don't need government from without. I think who's it? My goodness, Teddy Roosevelt. He said, in order to not have somebody govern you, like if you can't govern yourself
you
from
have
within,
to own it. You have to be responsible. Right. Own it. Your actions have consequences. Your behavior affects others and stuff.
Well, it's like if you can't govern yourself, then somebody else is going to govern you.
That's exactly what we have as a situation. Too much freedom. People were given absolute freedom, and It's too much. They don't apply a rational
Well, it's not,
limitation to
freedom.
It's complicated.
Freedom is responsibility.
But not to everyone.
Neglected
Freedom means, I don't know, doing whatever, and it can be weird. Some people think that's freedom.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Yeah. But still, it's like if we have self-control and you have responsibility, then you don't need government from without.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. You know, things are really at a more local level. You know, I mean, what's more important? You know, you never go to far away places and stuff. Your home, your community, your, you know, the place where you buy your fruits and vegetables. That's more important, you know, than, I don't know what's going on in the freaking Middle East. Come on. But yet they make like all this fighting over there is all the whole reason of existence is, you know, battle for something, fight for a hill, spill your blood, you know, whatever. But really, we are a local creature for the most part, except for some abilities to travel a little faster now. You know, most people spend their lives travel a little bit, but have a home. You know, the values are not where they should be, and family and the dinner, and you know, there are some families that have to literally lock frickin' cell phones in a safe or something and just, you know, shut them off with these programs that turn everyone off so they eat dinner together. You know, there used to be, it's not a satanic ritual or stuff, but to sit down with other people and have a meal, or your family and have a meal. But that doesn't happen. It's the families are divided and distracted and stuck on materialism, all kinds of stuff. There's just no values, no people-to-people values. You know, these skills are lost when they came out with the gaming consoles, and two kids will sit and play like, you know, Carmageddon for days on end, or, you know, the car top auto theft or whatever. You know, there's no real like going out and socializing, playing street hockey, or, you know, going to parks, or going, you know, whatever, doing other things.
Well, they don't get also too. It's like people aren't taught those kind of behaviors too from, like, you know, let's say they're folks where they're like, you know, they aren't like, they're like, people are inactive almost. I don't know. It depends what kind of families you're around. I know lots of kids that are like, you know, like, or families that are active that still run around, but certain people don't. And it's like, that's why I was saying before, it's like, you know, it's like one person that doesn't get it is the reason why we can't have nice things, because somebody messes it up for everybody else. And I think as long as we learn how to self-correct, and I think we're, you know, and like, take like flat earth, like, I don't think like this is an idea we've been deprived of for the last 100, you know, almost 50 years, if more than 50 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's the mentality of, you know, Judeo-Christianity, and, you know, natives didn't have words like mine and, you know, my property, and, you know, they had ours, and, you know, it was more pluralistic. You can't own the land. You can't own a river. You can't really own the fish. They belong where they are because they are what they are. But Judeo-Christians come along with their talking leaves and, oh, I own this land now. Oh, you can't come on it. It's private property. You're trespassing. I shoot you. Dog eat dog.
Well, see, though, I gotta say that
fenced off, and you have no real freedom because of this lie of property and ownership, when it belongs to, you know, nature itself and the creator, whatever, and all of us. This sort of like maniacal ego of ownership, and this greed and other stuff, and this thought that, oh, I have this much land, a big house, 5 cars, I'm Mr. Big. You're no bigger than anyone else. I don't know.
Yeah, but still, you gotta have. I look at it like, you know, I'm all for boundaries though, because, like, you know, like, I don't want, like, it's, you know, you could try to be ideal, or I don't know. I feel like it's like Like I was going to call somebody and they were like, oh, I'm just going to have an apple farm and everyone can come and just get their apples and, land should be free. And it's like, well, all your apples might be gone in a week when all the people that need those apples come up out of nowhere and take them. And this is where property rights and, having borders and security is essential. But it's like it can't get out of hand where you're not going to lend a helping hand to people. Like the community has to look out for itself. And the more we isolate ourselves, the more you're going to need people that want to get a government to go take everyone else's shit to give it to them. And if we learn self-responsibility, caring for almost like a social homeopathy, like we care for the whole thing. And I think we're going to get there too, in my opinion.
Well, the government created a welfare state during the war years, and they became the mommy and the daddy, the titty of the people. And they're very dependent on it. So do anything that goes against that infrastructure of dependence on, governmentism, then you're in trouble because a lot of people are on government tit.
Oh, it's it's like have you ever seen like that? Wow, we could go down that road forever. I mean, forgive me. I do have to get moving, guys. Jimbo, I'd love to carry it on again soon.
It's sort of off flat and other stuff too, and
but remember, 600 nautical miles is navigated as flat. Go look it up. And thank you, Oakley, Riley, love y'all. Jimbo, good to talk to you too.
You enjoy. Have a great day.
You and I have a stormy relationship.
It just depends on the subject.
I'll remember this. Is like, it's like anyone that's been out here in this flat earth debate. It's like, even if we've crossed paths and sparks and all the rest of it.
3 years, it's always been fine. Yeah.
Right on, brother. Right on.
Oh, I'm fine with you, dude. Hey, we argue, but that's then and this is now.
That's also what we're here. We're here for that too. I love it. You know what I mean?
We're arguing about subject. It's not about love or hate or anything. It gets passionate. It gets heated, and that's cool. I respect the difference in opinion and the difference in views, and I respect your right to have any view and any opinion. If I didn't, that's sort of tyranny.
Right on.
Even if someone's wrong, they have the right to their opinion.
Right. Yeah. Even the fake news has to exist, right? As Donald Trump said.
Fortunately, yes.
Rich guys like rockets. What's cool too is that Trump said rich guys like rockets, and now they got to pay. And do you know they blew up four sites for NASA that were the takeoff points? They demoed like four places where NASA was like launching from. I don't know if you guys saw that. Trump's interesting. I don't know if you guys have been hip on that. But all right, I'm gonna get moving. I love y'all, and I shall see you soon, God willing. Peace to the chat. Shout out to Big L, Anders Ace. Yeah, everybody out here.
Enjoy.
Yeah, Paul on the plane. Peace, brother.
See you later, Issa. Good to have you.
Yo, thank you, guys. Peace.
Jimbo, did you watch the show yesterday?
This one?
Yeah, this one.
It's mostly to try to get through academia, push for sort of integrity, honesty in some matters in science and the education system.
Yesterday I wasn't on the show. Yesterday I was getting at Arwen's point when he said that this directional force that he pushes, and I don't agree with. He said that it can't be explained by density and buoyancy. Did you hear him say that bit?
Yeah, I've heard him with his theory. He's the one who has figured out gravity when in 500 years no one else has. So
what do you think about this density buoyancy arguments? Do you agree with Arwen when he says that can't be explained by density?
Hold on. Hello. Hi, George. Hello.
I think he's kicked chocolate.
Kick George.
So that'd be a fake George, probably.
No, he hasn't.
Oh,
hang on. Oh, it doesn't matter because it's all right. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Quite a lot of things happened then, but George has been removed anyway.
But
that's okay. Let's have a nice conversation anyway, Jimbo, because
the experiment with the egg, and I like that one with the salt and the buoyancy demonstrated in that one. There's one important thing is that when the egg goes underwater, it raises the level of the water in the beaker or the cylinder.
Yeah, that's Archimedes'
upward. But also, eggs have a little pouch of air on the thinner side.
Yeah.
The oval. There's a pouch of air. It's pretty big. It's a few cc's at least. And again, with pressure, it's acting like a ballast would in a submarine. So
Yeah,
varying the air pressure will also vary the buoyancy or the level the egg will float at. If you put the whole thing in a vacuum and just applied a gradual vacuum, the egg would probably descend lower. Oh no, it would rise up because of that air pouch. And then if you increase the pressure, it would sink to the bottom.
Wouldn't it burst?
Too much pressure again. But no, eggs have a special design. By being round like that, it's like an arch. They provide a really sound structural support.
Yeah, but you can't call it a design. You have to call it evolution.
Okay. Yeah. And they even breathe. They're porous and they take in air.
Yeah, they are porous. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So it's pretty amazing.
So that's the question. My question that I wanted to ask, that I wanted you to answer, was: do you agree that this cannot be explained by density and buoyancy? When Arwin says that he sees this downward pressure thing that he calls directional, do you agree with him when he says that?
No, I believe there is an up and down, and it's relative to every point wherever you're dropping something, lifting something. It just don't matter.
It's relative. So
it's relative.
You don't see it as an absolute up and an absolute down.
Well, from our point of view, on a plane, absolutely, yes. It's just straight up vertical on the z-axis from like your head to your toes. It's just straight up through you. That's your z-axis.
All right, you're being wishy-washy and vague there because you're overlapping two concepts. Is up and down relative, or is it up and down not relative?
Not relative. If you're laying down, you have to stand up.
Do you agree with Arwin then?
Well, if something's sideways, we call it sideways. The horizon runs horizontally, not vertically, not diagonally.
Well, you didn't answer the question. I said, do you agree with Arwin then?
Well, relative to what? To where?
Well,
what down are you talking about? There two words, like you say, north, south, east, west. They're words. They're creation.
Yeah, my point is that when you see the egg change its location, be it up or down, them terms are relative to the environment it's in.
Oh, okay.
Arwin says that they're a direction. And I said, well, the egg doesn't recognize a direction. It just knows whether or not it needs to
there is no down to that egg. There is no down. There's no force pulling it down.
Correct. So it has to be relative.
Absolutely. Yes. In that sense, I was thinking of a mass in the air, like a body, like you or I.
No, I get
there is there. Okay, we have an up and down.
Describe what we see.
Again, it's relative in that sense. But in the beaker, in the cylinder, definitely, it has no force pulling down on it, exerting, none.
I do agree. I think it's entirely explained by density and buoyancy. And if there was an explanation for an extra force, you shouldn't say that you think that there's some extra, or there's a deficiency with something else that does explain it, unless you can prove that it's true. You can't just say stuff, and I don't know why you keep saying it. It's like, because we'll get him on the hangout, and he'll agree by the end of it that he hasn't got any evidence for his assertion, but he'll still assert it anyway. Without
I love that slinky. Even if you put a tennis ball in the bottom of it and extend it and drop it, even with extra weight on the bottom, extra mass, it still doesn't start moving downward until a certain amount of the slinky that's above it has fallen to a certain point or descended to it stays stationary, which dispels the Earth moving up at 32 feet per second squared or whatever, and also dispels that there's a force pulling down equally on all objects.
Because if it was pulling down equally on all objects, the spring should fall at a rate of free fall, but it doesn't seem to do that. It seems to be suspended. It's like,
or the bottom, even with an extra weight attached, doesn't move a millimeter until a good portion of that upper spring has come down. Contracted. Yeah. Well, it proves that the Earth is not moving up like the so-called Flat Earth Society promotes. It absolutely nullifies that. But it also proves or indicates there's no force pulling down on objects.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that slinky experiment or slinky test observation, whatever you want to call it, is really open to interpretation as to what is the cause for not happening.
Yeah. But when they try to demonstrate it, these so-called physics people, some of them will give the same experiment, and they do it laterally on a table. wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, they just talk some words and let it like slide together towards the middle and try to say that, well, this is really what's happening and it works this way too. Here's the proof, and it's not really working, but they end the video. I don't know. It's like doing Cavendish with huge styrofoam blocks on all four sides of your experiment, you know. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
That reminds me, Sly Sparkane. When I woke up this morning, it was the first video that I saw notify coming through. I'm not even sub to Sly, but obviously YouTube knows that I've been to his channel numerous times in the past, and it basically acts as though I am subscribed to him. So the first thing I saw was a not a notify, but a recent upload from Sly, and he's saying that FE core can't laser. So I watched it with my bleary eyes, and I was trying to focus and listen to what was being said. And the problem with Sly on this particular video is that it takes him a long time to make the point. And what he basically tries to state is that they've tried to use this self-leveling laser, but in the document, in the paperwork, they said that they leveled the laser to the horizon with, targeting specific buildings on the other side. Arwen, is that you?
Yes.
And they can program that laser to a specific GPS coordinate, right? It's a beautiful work. It's a bit bulky, but
not so much that bit. The bit that's in dispute is that they said in the paperwork they aimed it at the horizon, but the tool itself doesn't aim at the horizon; it levels. And basically, there's a contradiction between the two terms. Now, the fact that it levels itself automatically means that even though they aimed it at the horizon, that it's still a self-leveling piece of equipment. That
it'll be parallel to the water.
Yeah. So I think what Sly's done is focused on what it said in the paperwork as to where they aimed it, interpreted that to mean that they leveled it and based on that, and therefore overruled.
Hey guys.
Yo. And then overruled the ability of the device to self-level, and then said that that was wrong, and completely ignored the fact that it does actually self-level regardless of whether they set it or not. So it's like he's took issue with something that's really minor and tried to claim it as a debunk, but because he's put a lot of time and effort into the video, it adds credibility to the point he's making. But the point he's making is devoid of credit because, in essence, what he's saying is that they set the horizon to the level to the horizon, right? And that's not even true.
I don't know for sure, but my guess is they're using a torsion level bar, which, believe me, when it's balanced and even, it's level.
Now, what he was saying was that they've used the self-leveling laser thing, and it's not got the range to do what they were doing with it, and they didn't level it properly. Well, they didn't use the if you watch what actually happened in the video, they used the level to level the laser, and they based the laser on the level of the auto level, right? They didn't use the auto level as the laser device that they were then measuring for curvature or not. They just set the laser using the laser level so that the laser was level, and because the laser didn't have a built-in auto leveler. So that's all they've done, but Sly's picked up on this contradiction in the paperwork that contradicts the concept of an auto leveler and claimed that it was fallacious. So what's then happened in response? Mike's challenged anybody, not just Sly, but anybody, to go and repeat the experiment with them and show that it was done wrong based on repetition, which is what true science is. And the deal is that if you think that he's done it wrong, then he will pay for your flight there and back and pay your expenses. However, if you can't show that he's done it wrong, and by showing the mistake and doing it correct yourself, you've got to pay your own. And I think that's a valid point. Sly, if you think that he's done it wrong, Sly, accept the guy's challenge, go up to the place where they did it, repeat the experiment, and show them what he's done wrong. But obviously, be prepared to put your mud where your mouth is, because if you don't get it right or you don't show fault, then you're flying back on your own. But if you're going to state they've got it wrong, Sly, the onus is on you to show how. Not do a nice, pretty video with better graphics than we can do. Go and do the thing that he's saying. He's offering to pay for your ticket if you can show that he's done something wrong. And if you don't do it, Sly, I think you should take your video down because you're just being a bitch.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!